All right, guys, so the Season 3, Episode 2 Dev Livestream just concluded last night. I did not stay up and watch it like I typically do. I just decided that I didn't want to, and we'd watch it today live on stream. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to watch, we're going to talk about it, we're going to react, and then we'll cut out some of the downtime. Anything I can do to try to consolidate this a little bit to make it not as long on YouTube because I'm pretty long-winded. So having said all that, guys, let's go ahead and hop into the video. Jason basically sounded really somber, and everybody else kind of looks like they're not very happy.
Before we begin today's broadcast, we're going to take a moment to discuss the major issues from October.
Wait, what? There were major issues from October? You mean you released a shitty update that nobody was happy with, and then you didn't bother talking about it or doing anything, and now you're going to apologize at the beginning of your live stream? Man, it's almost like I called that this was going to happen.
So these include the performance of the sword, along with the farming, the sword pass, and skins.
Y'all played in October? So I don't think very many people did.
Each of these questions to our producer and director, then hear about the plans of the dev team. So,
what? Players didn't like shitty content and predatory practices and spending even more money for shit that should have been in the real season pass? Would have never guessed. Dude, these guys are breaking their own game.
죄송합니다. 다시 한번 사과드리고요. 이벤트
I want to, so here's the thing. I want to kind of feel bad, right? Like, I feel like the decision was above their pay grade, and it was like whoever's in charge of monetization, but still.
So the Halloween skin was criticized for lacking distinctiveness as an individual skin. In other words, the value was insufficient for them.
No, the reason, see, this is another one where they're missing. The reason people were pissed off about the Halloween skin, in my view, wasn't that it was not unique enough. It was that it was not unique enough to be sold as an individual skin, right? So there was a mummy skin, and you could put it on like 4 different descendants, but it was not universal. Each one of the descendants that you could buy it for was its own individual cost. If you're going to make it its own individual cost, then it needs to be unique. But if you're going to put seemingly the exact same skin on 4 different descendants and then sell them individually, then you fucked up.
So regarding this, it would be great if you could once again summarize the dev team's thoughts and future response plans. As explained in the announcements, for individual skins, we aim to ensure each descendant's distinct identity to increase their value. However, skins produced before this shift in direction were still scheduled for release in October and November. And these were the cleaning service and medical support skins revealed during our last dev live.
I don't think anybody cares that the cleaning service or the medical support skins are not unique or individual. Where that's going to piss people off is if they are not unique or individual and you have to buy them separately. If they look the same or very similar across 10 descendants, then you should just buy it for 1,000 caliber, 750 caliber, and get it for every descendant. If you have to buy the same maid outfit for each individual character for 750, that is where you're going to get people pissed off. Again, I just don't think that they understand why there was frustration around this.
Therefore, we've decided to halt the commercial release of these skins and instead offer them as event rewards. So today we're introducing content coming in Season 3, Episode 2.
All the boxes are a bunch of apologies.
Next Thursday on November 6th. And as you can see, there's a lot of content here. While the next story and Harris are intriguing, I'm guessing the content players are probably most curious about our Ancestors modules and one-on-one.
So I know a lot of people, before we go really deep in this, I know a lot of people are excited because this is like a lot of content. Remember that this is their Episode 2. So this is their Season 3 Part 2. So Season 3 Part 1 was the Axiom Planes and all of that releasing, right? That was their entire Season 3 Part 1. And then they had a couple months of basically nothing. This is effectively the second half of that, or Season 3 Part 2. So keep that in mind when we discuss how much content is actually here and what you're going to be doing.
Trading. So we'll dive into more details shortly. And of course, the main descendant for this month's monthly balance
Just try to keep that in mind.
is another
It's not a dev live stream without an apology, skins, and bunny buffs. Dude, if they better buff bunny. They better buff bunny.
burning question. Please watch our dev live until the end to find out. First, why don't we take a look at the main trailer for Season 3, Episode 2. 예, 그럼 바로 시작을 해볼 텐데요. 먼저 Season 3, Episode 2의 메인 트레일러부터 한번 보고 오겠습니다.
Bruh, if they spent some of this money on, like, making the seasons great again, things would be so much nicer.
Albion's final defense comes.
We're still searching. Okay, response is close.
Humanity will fight to the end!
Oh, yeah. So
Who was this trailer for? I have no idea. Anybody that watches that trailer knows why the fuck is Harris shooting guns? I don't know anything about Harris. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know why anybody's doing anything that they're doing, man. I'm so confused. But hey, I mean, it was a trailer.
okay, then let's start with the story, and the subtitle for this episode is Assemble. Yeah. So what does it mean? So in Season 3, Episode 1, Alpha was captured by Karel. The Descendants lost their focal point.
Avengers
as the story
Assemble,
concluded.
exactly.
So this episode, it deals with the Descendants joining forces together to regain that focal point.
This is very much a Marvel, like Avengers Assemble and go to take out Thanos.
So during the story, all of our Descendants will appear, and hearing like each Descendant's unique dialogue is
Trying to do what we can for you, Diesel.
probably one of the fun elements of this episode.
Dude, if Black Panther and fucking Doctor Strange show up, I'm gonna lose my shit during the storyline.
So Episode 2 also serves as a major turning point in the story as we approach the final battle with Karel. For those who remember the story from the very beginning of the First Descendant, this is an episode where one
No,
narrative
don't
arc
remember it.
concludes. Later, on November 6th, and I also heard that a new dungeon is being added as well. So players can enter this from Axion or use the Infiltration's Operations Terminal in Albion.
We'll have to
Supermassive
see. No
Receptor
Void Vessel, I'm
Dungeon
out,
is a
guys.
research facility. I'll keep details brief to avoid spoilers regarding the story. And players can use hover bikes in this dungeon as well. And the setup,
Boo! Hover bikes in dungeon. Boo! It's going to be big and long for no reason.
wow. So even from just the images we're seeing over here, we can feel the overwhelming sense of space. I can't wait to see what it
Why do they think that making things look big makes them better? Remember when they did the wall crasher, and they were like, even from these screenshots, we can just see how oppressive and large he is. And then we got in there and we were like, yeah, it's lame. It's literally lame, right? Like, this visual storytelling is very good as long as you use it properly. And I understand the thought process behind what they're doing, but it just seems like the implementations are always bad.
So this is the Supermassive Receptor dungeon boss, Pattern Flores. It attacks from the map's center using lasers and Archinerve bundles that look like tentacles. So avoiding the boss's patterns is crucial against this enemy.
No, it's not. It's not crucial. You'll be able to stand there and face tank it like you can everything else in the game.
When I think of Axion's mission bosses, or like the Void Vessel's Arcus Slayer, it makes me wonder if we should prepare Serena to tackle this boss as well. Yeah, of course, Serena remains undeniably as the most powerful Descendant. We're continuously working to normalize the balance among our Descendants, and Pattern Flores also possesses patterns capable of countering Serena in the air, so it shouldn't be completely helpless against her.
The reason various Descendants have been chosen for a lot of different things is because they constantly add different mechanics and different debuffs that make Serena completely unusable. It's not that Serena is getting worse or other descendants are catching up. They are literally adding things to prevent Serena from being competitive. And it sounds like that's what they're doing in this dungeon, right? They'll be really... I will actually be really peeved if I go into that dungeon and I go to fight that boss and it is actually markedly harder to do it on Serena than anyone else because of the additional mechanics they have. Because at that point, you're literally just making anybody that plays Serena's life hell instead of just nerfing her and bringing her in line with other descendants.
Now, I'm assuming we'll be seeing this descendant a lot in our new dungeon, which is Harris. So, Harris, I think this might be the content players are most eagerly awaiting today. First, let's look at Harris's trailer.
Dude, it's amazing how it looks on trailers because somebody from their marketing team knows how to try to sell the game. The downside when you do this, Jack, is if you make a game look one way and then it doesn't play that way, then people try it out and then they leave. TFD saved? Maybe.
Wow, I love that last scene. You know, the sword kept appearing in Harris's trailer, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if...
Oh, the swords, you know, the swords, the ones that like suck dick. Yes, we kept putting them in the trailer because they suck dick. Maybe they suck less dick on Harris. We have no idea.
she's a descendant
We'll see next week. Exactly.
specialized in the sword.
She's toxic. Yeah, it looks like she's toxic right here.
Right into the game and check it out.
닥터 땡땡땡땡 얘기가 많이 나오네요.
Ah,
Leave it to the construction part, Captain. I'll take care of it.
wow, that's some fury, fist fighting. So the base character design is so well made. It feels like she has the Summer Paradise skin on her, but even though she doesn't, right? So
She
Harris's
probably
exoarms
can,
are
Bjorn.
designed to replace the spinal neural network, meaning they are an essential part of Harris's body. And in the previous story, she suffered injuries from Carell that are severe enough to shatter her spine. After volunteering
We'll have
as
to see,
the
crazy.
first test subject for Forced Arcade Awakening, she was fitted with these exoarms, enabling her to return to...
Wasn't Harris black earlier? I think Harris was like Mediterranean. She was like an olive color. She was like a dark olive, which to me is like Mediterranean. I mean, you could say she was like Middle Eastern, maybe. But she was definitely from like that belt is where I picked her from.
the battlefield. Great.
Yeah.
So time to properly examine how Harris participates in combat. Let's start by looking at Harris's skills in the laboratory.
Each time a skill is used, grants a variety of effects based on the amount of toxin. Maintaining a certain amount of toxin for a certain period of time grants best condition for each stage. Best condition when toxin is below 30%. Cooldown decreased when toxin is between 30 to 70. HP increase doesn't really matter unless it scales or damage. Defense doesn't really matter. Damage mitt doesn't really matter. Overload, melee weapon attack increased by 30%. Multiplicative, not additive, which makes it not very good. Yeah, I don't see her being anything really crazy with these passives.
So Harris is a poison type descendant using tech and fusion type skills and does not use MP. Her skill set is relatively well suited for close combat. Let's start by looking at her basic skill configuration. Harris accumulates toxins through skill usage to gain effects or utilize them as skill resources. And depending on the toxin accumulation stage, it will reduce cooldowns, increase defense, boost,
What up, Barry?
or like boost melee weapon and skill damage.
I would assume that's the Ancestor mod is the red one, yes.
Harris's first skill is Crushing Charge. It's a skill that attacks enemies with the exo arms, and it deals stronger damage on the third strike.
So, Keelan. Basically, Keelan.
Motion kind of changes with like each consecutive hit, and the movement's real repression, and the impact feels quite heavy.
Or Kyle. Keelan or Kyle, basically.
몬스터들을 견인하면서 타격하는 특징을 가지고 있습니다.
Toes them into the as you hit them.
Keelan with boobs, and it adds a little bit of toe. So it's basically a better version of Kyle.
Second skill is Sight Intrusion, which makes Harris jump and strike enemies. Players can gain a protective barrier proportional to the number of enemies hit, so it's a great skill to consistently use for close combat. The skill description is simple, but it has very fun animations. Let's look at how this works.
This right here is basically worthless in the current meta as well.
기본적으로는 이렇게 점프해서 내려치는
So, Kyle.
AJX의 공간 도약과 비슷한 스킬이지만요.
Yeah. So
This is literally Ajax.
fundamentally like Ajax's Void Walk, in which Ajax jumps and strikes downward.
Yeah, except instead of the skill doing the jump, you have to physically jump yourself.
So when players like press the skill button again in mid jump, it can change the direction like that.
네. 그래서 이런
So far, I've seen nothing that makes her look like Inez. So far, everything makes her look like Kyle and Ajax to me.
식으로 사용을 한 거죠.
The arms, yeah, the fact that the arms don't like jiggle or sway or do anything or move with her looks weird. So far, Chad, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty unimpressed with the character.
묘하잖아요.
The third skill is Designate Danger Zone, and it consumes toxins to deal damage to surrounding enemies, while Harris gains a buff increasing movement speed.
3번 스킬을 쓰는 동안 독소를 모으는 1번 스킬을 활용하거나 2번 스킬을 활용하면 좀 더 오랫동안 계속 할 수도 있습니다.
So the skill deals continuous damage to the surrounding area, and while skill 3 is reducing toxins, using skill 1 and 2 to engage in combat allows you to consume toxins while simultaneously acquiring them, preventing the skill from ending due to toxin depletion.
Bunny. Yeah, Bunny. They gave her Bunny skill.
So the next skill is
I also like how they're making her a tank. All 3 of her 4 skills give her fucking defense.
Waste Disposal.
More like Luna? Yeah, maybe more like Luna.
The skill fires lasers.
I could
from
see that.
exoarms
I could see
deals
that,
damage to
Herbert.
enemies, and it applies a debuff that makes enemies receive additional damage from lead weapons and applies a defense boost buff to herself.
네, 해리스는 전체적으로 근접전을 위한 스킬 구성을 가지고 있고 검의 위력을 버프하는 스킬을 가지고 있어서 검과의 궁합이 기대되는 그런 계승자입니다.
So Harris has a skill set geared toward close combat and possesses skills that buff the power of swords, making her a descendant who is expected to show synergy with swords.
All right.
Yeah, so
Thank you, Barrett.
she seems like a descendant
Hopefully I
with
muted
quite
it.
a busy skill combination, and it looks like players will need to use skills appropriately depending on the situation, and it might take some time to get used to it. However, the fact that she has skills and buffs that synergize well with swords is a very promising point. Now, Director, let's move on to the 2 new Transcendent modules for her. So the first Transcendent module is Focus Supervision. This focuses more on skill buffs, excluding the sword buff from passive skills.
Cooldown, damage reduction, fire rate, multiplicative, not additive, skill power, damage reduction, fire rate, 6%. Interesting.
검 버프를 제외하고 스킬 버프에 더욱 집중하는
Interesting.
초월 모듈입니다.
So the first Transcendent module is
Now
Focus
she's Luna
Supervision. This
herself.
focuses more on skill buffs, excluding the sword buff from passive skills. So skill 1 is changed to a laser firing skill, and skill 4 is changed to a laser beam that continuously emits poison by consuming toxins.
They literally just put everybody's skills on her, right? Like this is Bunny. This is Bunny, right? Like Bunny's 4.
The second Transcendent module is Safety Training. This Transcendent module grants more protective barrier when using skill 2. So it changes skill 3 into a skill that deals single...
You still couldn't spam this. You get it down to 2.4 seconds, which isn't spammable. If you could get this down to under 1 second, I could see this being a spammable skill.
Target area damage, but converts it into a buff skill that grants protective barrier to our
They gave
allies.
us this, basically
Awesome.
Johnny Walker.
So we've looked at Harris's skills. I think many players are curious where to farm her materials.
Is it correct? I have no idea. We're trying to find out. So far, I'm not very impressed with Harris. I'm sure there's going to be people on the internet that are like, Harris is so awesome. I can't wait for her. She's going to be the best thing in the game. Like, Harris is so good. They've saved First Descendant. I'm not impressed with Harris at all. From her skills and her Transcendent mods, I have not seen anything that makes me be like, hey, these look pretty cool. I just haven't seen it, right? I mean, personally, I haven't seen anything in her kit that made me go, yeah, I would use her over one of a handful of other descendants to do other things. Dude, that's some 90s fucking Spice Girl shit right there.
이 작업반 출신이라는 말씀이 나왔으니 다목적 작업복 스킨도
This is her base skin, right? This is the skin that she had just standing around, yes?
살펴보겠습니다. Next topic is Ancestors modules. I think many of our players have been curious about what Ancestors modules are. Today we'll have a detailed look at them. So, Director, what exactly are they?
These are so broken. Look at the numbers on that. Did you not ask for Broken to rival Serena? No, I didn't. I asked for them to nerf Serena because Serena is broken and to fucking fix their descendants. You can equip these to any slot. Any slot on your descendant. Not the transmod slot. Any slot. You can still run a transmod with these. This is basically weapon cores for your descendants. If you thought that the weapons were broken OP because of weapon cores, these just broke the game. They buff other descendants way closer to Serena. No. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't buff other descendants to be like Serena because Serena gets them too. Damn you and your logic, I know. They'll be difficult to obtain. Stats are different. All I'm hearing right now, this is what I'm seeing right now. Chat. This is what I'm seeing. Are you ready? You ready? People are reaching over and they're grabbing their fucking copium. They're gonna be rare. It's gonna make people just as strong as Serena. It's gonna be good for the game. It's not gonna be a problem whatsoever. There's no possible way to look at these and be like, yeah, we need these right now.
So Ancestor's modules randomly generate up to 4 options. And when there are like 2 options, they can be higher values. When one minus kind of negative option is generated, the maximum value of the plus, like positive kind of option, increases. So in other words, it maximizes useful plus options by drawing out the minus options that are useless to you. So additionally, the Ancestors module is a dedicated item for each specific descendant. Options that are useful for that specific descendant are only assigned to the modules. So for example, an Ancestors module for Bunny will never have an option for increased tech skill power. Yeah, something like that.
These should have been benched fucking for 3 more seasons. Jesus.
To that, it does seem a bit complicated, but I think it'll be easier for us to understand when we look at through.
What part of this is complicated? What part of this is complicated? It increases skills. It gives you a negative. It can go in any slot. If there are fucking window lickers out there that don't understand this, they're playing the wrong game.
Our game build. So as you can see, Ancestors modules generate options based purely on their stats. This means a single high-quality Ancestors module can replace 2 to 3 other modules.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need. One really good module that can replace 2 to 3 other modules, or hear me out. How about we use those 2 to 3 other modules and the Transcendent module at the same time? Like, how about we just do both? Like, instead of replacing 3 modules, how about we just replace one of those modules with this and then get a bunch of extra bonuses? I'm just thinking outside of the box here, right? Like, I know this is a far-flung idea, but, you know.
For example, like if you can secure range or like critical hit chance with an Ancestors module, players can save the module slots to invest more in skill power or maybe enhance the overall build's peak performance.
The builds don't need more peak performance. It's like giving Usain Bolt fucking steroids. Why would you do it? Man doesn't need it.
Yeah, but however, like...
Are they like Umbra mods from Warframe? Maybe? I'm not really too versed on the Umbra mods.
Acquiring, you know...
I mean, they're a lot like Riven mods for weapons, except you're using them on Descendants.
Those high-tier Ancestors mods...
They're basically Riven mods, but for your characters. Where they've got a bunch of bonuses and 1 negative.
Modules will likely be quite challenging. So until now, items and trigger models only had options up to the yellow kind of ultimate tier. But Ancestors modules can have options up to the orange kind of Transcendent tier, and it is a module with significantly higher rarity and value. So considering this, the Descendant will possess an attribute called Synchronization Value. So the higher this rating, the greater the efficiency gained from the Ancestors modules. And balance adjustments for Ancestors modules will be implemented through the Descendant's overall Synchronization Value. I'm also very curious about one-on-one trading, but yeah, we'll discuss about
it. Looks like you can re-roll these. It says number of readjustments.
That a bit later. Let's continue talking about Ancestors modules. So how can we farm them? So Ancestors modules can only be obtained in limited quantities per like cycle. So for example, they are given as rewards for like the overall world quest and defeating the wall crasher, completing Sigma Sector daily missions, and also from the ETA Zero store.
Well, there goes RIP for anybody that planned on grinding these. You can get 3 a day, right? Like, well, you could probably get 1 from each Sigma, 1 from the wall crasher, and then, well, like from ETA. So RIP grinding. Why though? Cuz, lad. Just cuz. Don't worry, they will increase it eventually, but in the beginning, to make sure that people are playing every day, and to like increase the playtime, they will limit the amount you can get, and then eventually they'll increase it.
Yeah, therefore, Ancestor's models can be readjusted. So like the hover bike, this allows you to re-roll all of the options, but you'll also be given the option to choose between your previous options and the newly re-rolled ones. Yeah, so looking at the screen.
They will apologize next dev live stream. Absolutely. Absolutely, they will. Non-at skill bonus. Skill cost. Another RNG. Yeah, it sounds like it's an RNG that you can't lock. So it's basically you spin to re-roll it, and then if you pick the last one or the current one.
Right now on the re-roll, it seems like Hyper shards are being consumed while readjusting.
Wait, what was the fucking what was that blue currency? Another currency to be able to readjust, chat. You're gonna have to farm readjustment materials too. Get to farm readjustment materials. Plus, it's gonna be a golden Kuiper sync. Probably something from the new dungeons. Oh yeah, singular skill power plus 49.8%. Probably their motto. It absolutely is.
Yeah, the numbers over there, they are temporary. And readjusting requires Kuiper shards and materials and gold. So these materials can be farmed in most of the content, but like the Axion Battlefield,
God rolls will cost thousands of calibers on market. You think so?
Is expected to be the most efficient farming spot. Additionally, Ancestor's modules count the number of readjustments per item. And as the number of readjustments increases, more Kuiper shards and materials are.
If you can currently get her to 70, then it's going to be even worse, right? I think it will be difficult to sell modules first few months because there isn't any content to grind. Need them at the moment. The only people that'll be interested in them are going to be the hardcores. So basically, the entire community
consumed. So it's going to be efficient.
They didn't show them for Serena.
Readjusting at an appropriate level. Yeah. So it seems the time has finally come to use our remaining Kuiper shards that we've been saving up. I can't wait to see the changes the Ancestors modules will bring, and I think
I'm wondering where Hero crashed out because I haven't like fully crashed out yet.
The builds of our descendants on the leaderboard will start to shift a bit too. I think we'll need to focus on farming for a while to gather these high-tier Ancestors modules.
Can't wait for the pay-to-win leaderboards. Absolutely.
Let's talk about
RMTs will be a big deal if you can sell and trade these for Kuiper.
The trading system. Yeah, something I think many players are looking forward to. The trading was also a system with various speculations. Today we'll see how it's structured and what items can be traded.
네, 기본적으로 거래는 1대1 거래 시스템이고요. 거래를 하려면 먼저 거래자가 같은 알비온 서버 내에 위치를 해야 합니다.
No fucking shot. Are you fucking serious? So there's a trade fee? Where is this trade fee coming from? Is it because it's a 10% tax? Do you have to use... we're going to listen to what they say. Look at the stream chat. I don't think it shows. All right.
그래서 거래 대상과 파티를 맺고 그 알비온의 거래 단말기를 통해 원하는 플레이어와 거래를 시작할 수가 있습니다.
So trading is fundamentally a one-on-one system. So to trade, both parties must be located on the same Albion server. After forming a party with the other trading player, players can initiate a trade with the desired player through Albion's trading terminal. So can trading like be done freely without any restrictions?
I need them to finish because maybe the only reason you're paying the fee is because you're spending caliber to do it, right? Like if you weren't trading caliber for these, maybe you don't. Maybe there's not a fee. I can tell you right now that this is the biggest fucking scam ever.
거래 관련 퀘스트를
Oh my god, dude.
No, that's not the case. To prevent fraud and abuse within the game, there are strict conditions for obtaining trading authorizations. First, players must achieve mastery rank 15.
That is crazy. I want to listen to the rest of what they say. This is literally insane right now.
And complete quests related to trading.
네, 그리고 이런 권한이 있다고 해도
Because I need to hear, because like you guys, it sounds like the only way you can trade is modules for caliber. You can't trade mods for mods. There has to be caliber exchanged in this trade. If that is what it is, this is the biggest, scammiest system ever. Now, if you can trade mods for mods with no caliber, then it's still a shitty system, but it's not as shitty. That would make way more sense. Gold, Kuiper, anything, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna get full laid for this. They're not gonna apologize for it because they're not gonna take it out. They like this because it makes them money.
플레이어가 얻는
This is crazy.
칼리버에서 피가 나가는 것입니다.
Oh my god.
판매하는 사람은
Yeah, so about that trade fee over there, that 4 caliber over there. So if you're a seller, it's even if you don't have any calibers, if you have 0 calibers, you can still sell. But what happens is after the trading is done, you will receive 36 calibers because as you can see on the right side over there, it says 40 calibers. So the total amount that the seller will be getting is something that deducts the trading fee and then gives it to the seller. So even if the seller has nothing, the seller can still get 36 calibers after deducting the 4 caliber fee. So yeah, that is something that our director wanted to explain. Yeah.
Bro, I cannot believe they did this. This is worse than I could have imagined.
And one more thing, PlayStation players must enable 2-factor authentication in the option or account menu. This is actually a mandatory policy from PlayStation for in-game trading, so it cannot be avoided.
Bunch of people are not going to do that.
Steam and Xbox players, they can still trade without the 2-factor authentication. Items that can be tradable are trigger modules and Ancestors modules. Trading items for other items is not possible. When a seller lists an item, the buyer can only buy that with calibers.
This is such a scam. Oh my god. This is such a scam. Oh my god, dude. I'm reading their chat. It is not good.
However, in November, trading is limited to trigger models that have already been released. As this is the first implementation of the trading system, new content will have a 1-month grace period to ensure service stability.
Dude, this is great for content creators, right? If you're a content creator and you've got some fucking whale in your community and you're like, dude, I really wish I had this skin, and somebody will be like, Judge, come trade me really quick. Like, here, trade me a trigger mod, or trade me a whatever, right? Like, trade me a trigger mod. And I'm like, okay, here's like, and they're like, I don't care what trigger mod it is. And you're like, okay, here's a shit trigger mod. And then they're like, here's 20,000 caliber. And you're like, what the fuck? So it's going to be great for like content creators who have whale community members that just want to give them money to buy skins. But yeah, this is a big L.
Ancestors modules and trigger modules that are released in November are scheduled to become tradable starting in December. And yeah, I think one important question, something many players are curious, is caliber the only currency used for trading? 그러면 거래에 사용되는 재화.
Do you not do motherfuckers that watch live streams not have ears? Guys, am I fucking dumb? Like, they literally said you can only trade it for caliber. I'm gonna listen to what he says here, but I'm sorry. Like, if you're watching this live stream and Jeremy or Jason or Jerome, whatever his name is like, the only currency you can trade these for is caliber. Like, he specifically says it. And then like 5 minutes later, he's like, I'm getting a lot of questions about what these are tradable for and what currencies you can trade them for. No, it can't be any worse than mine. It can't be any worse than mine, Wordu, right? Like, I do YouTube and Twitch all the time at the same time. Wordu, put the copium down. You're not a copium user. Do not start this addiction already.
Yeah, I've just got one concern. Then how do I find other trading players? That's why we've prepared the web trade market, and the web trade market is a feature available through the official website and companion app. Yeah.
네,
And that, my friends, is why they made the app. That right there is why they made the app. It has come to fruition. They made the app so you can trade modules. Because the Warframe market app is independent of Warframe. Yeah, well, Warframe's market isn't even part of Warframe, right? Like, Warframe's market, like the Warframe Warframe.market or whatever isn't even sanctioned by Warframe. It's just some unofficial app.
So sellers can list items they wish to sell on the web trade market. When buyers find a desired item on the market, they can immediately click the purchase button to send an instant whisper to the seller that is currently logged into the game. After that, they can form a party within the game, meet in Albion, and complete the transaction.
This whole update, everything they have showed me right now is an L. There is nothing that they have shown me in this update that is not an L. The Ancestor mods are the only thing that isn't like an entire L, but it is a L for the state of the current game, because you do not need them. So the Ancestor mods are completely unneeded. You're allowed to disagree. There's nothing in here that has been good.
Plenty of content left to cover. Now let's move on to the Season 3, Episode 2.
Nell's okay. Even Mozzie's chat was saying this looks good. And him himself. Good. Hopefully Moxie's hopefully Moxie's chat really liked it. Why are we being negative? Do you want me to blow the devs? I'm not being negative. You can say I'm being however I'm being. You explain to me. So here's what I'll do really quick. You explain to me what's good. Out of everything that was showcased, tell me where the W was. I will actually stop my chat. I will stop the show right now. You tell me where I'm wrong. And anybody in chat can speak up and tell me where I'm wrong. Like I'm not going to like try to belittle you or anything, but just tell me where I'm wrong. If you've been watching the stream the entire time, then you have seen why I say what I'm saying. Now, if you've just jumped in the last 30 seconds or like 5 minutes and you didn't see me talk about things when they came up, then I can understand how you could misconstrue what I'm saying. But if you've been here for the last hour, then I've explained why I feel the way I feel. So I'm not going to go like really deep into why I feel the way I feel. You can go back and watch the stream for that. But I'm willing to engage. Harris, new sword. All right, so I have not seen the new sword. I haven't seen them showcase the new sword. I haven't seen them showcase the new gun. Harris, there is nothing about Harris that was new, interesting, or not currently in the game. Harris is 1 with no red mod, functions like Kyle. Her 2 functions like Ajax. Her 3 functions like Luna or Bunny, depending on how you look at it. And her 4 was a laser beam. Basically did nothing. If you put red mods on her, it turned one of her attacks into like the Kyle dive bomb, maybe. Basically, her whole kit was other Descendants, and then like one of her transmods like turned her 4 into like Bunny's like laser beam. Every part of Harris's kit is already in the game. The trading thing is not an L because it shouldn't exist, but exists for some people to gain caliber. The way they implemented trading to me is an L. The fact that you cannot trade mods for mods and you have to trade for caliber, and that they're taxing the caliber is a huge L. And there is absolutely no possible world anybody will convince me otherwise. Harris, maybe you could argue that, well, Harris looks cool because she's like an amalgamation of 3 Descendants and she's got like the best of a couple Descendants I like. But to me, her entire kit is built off of other Descendants and does not fit in the current sandbox or in the current style of play. And she does not do anything new or innovative, and she will not be used by the bulk of people in the game because she has no ad clearing capabilities. So everybody and their brother will outrun her and run past her. So like Bunny will outrun her, Freyna will out DPS her, like out mob her, Luna will out mob her, Inez will out mob her. There's nobody that's gonna mob. She's not gonna mob better than our best mobbers. And when it comes to single target damage, Serena. So she's just in the sandbox. As for the weapons, I haven't seen the weapons, but unless the swords are some sort of beam weapon that area clears an entire room, the swords are basically going to be shit. And I haven't seen the new gun. Maybe the new gun's decent. But if like Moxie's chat thought it was cool, like good for Moxie's chat. Like that's Moxie's chat. Like people can be excited for whatever. I'm going to be a realist. I have enough hours in this game that I can look at it and say if this is going to fit in to the current game or if it's not going to be used. And basically everything they've showcased is not going to be used. Or it's going to be used by people who just are hipsters and want to use a niche thing.
네,
Hell, it's so fucking lame, dude.
보여지는 거고 이제
She have blonde hair under that helmet?
예, 이 프로토타이핑을 할 때 이런 컨셉들을 좀 테스트를 해본 적이 있었었어요. 그러다가
Let's take a look at Eugene.
네, 네, 이
Right now, the dinner is on the prep table.
로 제작이 된 건데, 네, 상당히 네. 잘 어울려서 남성 스킨 좋아하시는 분, 남성 캐릭터 좋아하시는 분들.
Where's the Bayonetta skin? They'll probably get to it here soon. It looks like Lepic.
All right, now it's time to take a closer look at the Battle Pass weapon, the Hypernova.
네, 하이퍼노바는 광선검 컨셉의 무기인데요. 일반 공격은 네, 7연타를 하고 그리고 빠른 연속 타격을 하는 특징을 가지고 있습니다.
So Hypernova is a light blade concept weapon. Its normal attack features a 7-hit combo followed by rapid consecutive strikes. So Hypernova's special attack involves throwing the sword to inflict damage, and then when it inflicts damage on the thrown location and a toe effect. So while inflicting a toe effect and damage at the throw location, it deals additional damage through a supernova explosion when retrieving the weapon.
The sword looks cool. Like, I can't knock this sword. I think this sword looks cool.
It's increased based on duration.
I'm tired of seeing everything in the game have toe, but the sword looks cool.
The pull effect is active. It can gather enemies into a single point, making it an excellent weapon for Harris to utilize in close combat through skill and combination gameplay. Yeah, so once again,
if that does really good damage, then you could use that in combination with people that do like really heavy single target damage, and you could build into single target damage and then just use the sword for like AoE mobbing. But still, Inez is going to clear before you can group them. Bunny's going to be in the room and out before you ever get there. Freyna is going to nuke the whole room. Like, this is the best of the three swords that I've seen. This is the best sword that they have in the game right now.
Hypernova can be obtained through
Absolutely.
the Battle Pass. And a new Transcendent skin for the Hypernova is also being added, which is the Lightbringer. So the Hypernova's base design is pretty neat and traditional. But Lightbringer is a skin that emphasizes a more fantasy-like feeling.
Where do we get this sword from? So we all farmed the wrong one?
얘도 그러면 이펙트가 역시 바뀌는 거예요.
Oh yeah, changes in the impact.
저 굉장히 세레나와
Do you get it from the Battle Pass, Thundercats? It's exactly what I was
어울릴
thinking.
것 같은 디자인.
Now we'll look at the Ultimate Rifle Hive Master, which can be obtainable through farming within the new Supermassive.
I think a lot of people think it's an L.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people think it's an L, especially because you have to trade for caliber, and there's going to be a trading tax.
the Hive Master is a weapon that fires at enemies to attach bugs. And
Love when Judge crashes out. I mean, unless I'm crashing out on you, I think there's some people that probably take it pretty personal when I crash out and they're the victim of my crash.
these bugs that have been attached inflict damage to surrounding enemies.
Is this the Colony? The weapon is crazy. It reminds me of the Colony in Destiny 2. But Glay plus Hive Master, literally what I was just thinking was it was the Colony.
So the overall design does have a Vulgus kind of vibe to it. It appears very different from the designs of
Warframe weapons are
previous
cooler.
Ultimate
Some of them
weapons.
do.
미연에도 취향 이상한 사람이 있는
This is nuts.
yeah.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, it said
I mean, it might be fun to play with this in the new sword, try a couple things out, like play the game for a week or so, and then be like, yep, that was fun.
to be developed independently from Albion, and I guess, yeah, they have some kind of...
Multi-hit
Albion.
chance is
Well,
not a
when I-
weapon stat. Yeah, once you put multi-hit on it, it tells you what your multi-hit chance is. You just have to put a mod on. Unless it's got it intrinsically on it, right? But once you put a mod on, then it shows it down bottom. It'll be like you get your multi-hit's like 1.3 or some shit, right? Or like 0.8, 0.6.
First saw the design, I also wondered if it might have been taken from the Vulgus. Well, actually, it started with Eugen's
Comes from modules and arcade board, yeah.
proposal and began with Dr. Kate's experiments. Yeah, so I can almost hear Eugen's grumbling tone. Let's see how it works at the laboratory. So, shooting the enemy will attach the shock bug above the enemy's head, and like after hitting enemies, your target with the shock bug attached, a discharge will activate and dealing damage to surrounding enemies and applying a stun effect. Then, you know, I guess the effect will activate only if the enemy with the shock bug survives. So this weapon could be useful in contact like Void Erosion Purge when facing like, you know, against enemies with lots of HP.
It's nothing like the Colony. It's absolutely nothing like the Colony. Plus, the shock bug only works if things stay alive. So this might not even be useful on low tier content because you'll just kill things before the shock bug can go off. I thought it was gonna be like the Colony.
And Season 3, Episode 2 introduces not only weapons, but also modules, external components, mutation cells, and trigger modules. Yeah, let's first look at the new modules for swords.
I'm guessing these are basically all for swords. Well, like, the one I'm looking at, right, is like armored tank. You just don't see anything astounding. When using a special attack, your movement speed goes up by 89% for 5 seconds. I mean, you're already running at like 1,000 plus. Like, pushing your... It's not bad, but it's just not anything that's like really making me like super excited. I'm using special attack. Melee weapons critical hit damage is up for 5 seconds. Anything that has like a 20-second cooldown and you only get it for 5 seconds doesn't really excite me.
So swords got a performance boost with the patch.
You come from Destiny, so I've seen ebb and flow. Just have faith and persistent, concise with our feedback. I mean, I have like 2,000-3,000 hours on Destiny. I've got like 2,000 to 3,000 hours in Destiny, so I get it. It's just really tough. As somebody who's just seen a bunch of bad decisions after bad decisions, like it only lasts for so long. The difference between something like Destiny and something like TFD, you've got over 10K, yeah. So the difference between something like Destiny and something like TFD is Destiny had more players to lose. They had a longer track record, and they had a longer time to build up a fan base, right? So like Destiny 2 followed up Destiny. And Destiny was like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. When Destiny came out, there was Sony needs to, like, I don't want to get too distracted, but Sony needs to absorb them and then just make Destiny 3. TLDR on that. But Destiny 1 came out with no competition. There was no MMO looter shooter. Destiny was the only one. You had Borderlands, but it wasn't an MMO. It was a looter shooter. It was different. So if you liked the concept and the idea of the game, it was the only one there was to play, and you were more inclined to go with the ebb and flow. Also, they were sort of creating a genre. They were trying to mix traditional MMO elements with consoles. So there was going to be a lot of friction in trying to get it right. But they were able to do that within a year. Right? So the game came out. It was pretty sparse. Their first couple updates absolutely sucked. And then they came out with, it was like, was it Rise of Iron or The Taken King? Whichever one came out first. It was like their first major update. It was like about a year later. They really kind of fixed their problem, right? Like it was about a year and a half in. They really kind of like fixed their numbers. And they righted the ship. People were very happy. It was a very good experience. People really enjoyed the game. There was obviously content droughts, but they righted the ship pretty quick. And then The Taken King, and then they kind of kept going, right? But the good news for them was there was nobody there to compete with. Same thing with Warframe. When Warframe first came out like 10, 11, 12 years ago, it was on PC predominantly. And there was nobody really competing with them. Even when Destiny came out, Destiny was console. Destiny 1 was console, it wasn't even PC. So they were like completely in their own ecosystems. So you could see how they were like competing in a similar space, but not in each other's ecosystem. Now with First Descendant, there are so many games. Games turn around so fast. There's so many live service games. There's so many new games coming out that you cannot afford to like fail or take your time. And so like long-term players of First Descendant have sort of been watching what's happening, and they've sort of had a lack of direction, a lack of cohesiveness, a lack of cohesion. And they sort of just like messed up every update. Like they'll do one good thing and 10 bad things. And it's really hard to continue to have faith, right? It really was special. So hard to imagine that world. Competition should be healthy. It should be for sure. Marathon's going to be a flop. Yeah, no, Marathon's definitely going to be a flop. Marathon flops. Marathon will flop. Marathon will flop 100%. You cannot, it'll be Anthem. You cannot take a game and all of its assets and try to flip it like 6 months before the game comes out and turn it into a success. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. Marathon will fail. So, and then when it comes to Sony and Destiny 3, like Bungie has already said they're not doing Destiny 3, right? Like they've said they're not doing it. That's Bungie. Sony is, I cannot imagine a world in which Sony's leadership are absolutely retarded. There is no world in which Sony will let one of the largest IPs in the world die. Won't happen, right? What I foresee happening is Sony will take the IP and they will take Destiny and they will do Destiny 3 in about 1.5 to 2 years in UE5 and they will turn it around. And Destiny 3 will be something everybody plays. Because everybody will be happy to see Destiny 3 coming and everybody will be happy to see the reboot and that's all anybody will care about. And they'll be like, Destiny 3, perfect. This is what we've wanted. Sony is our fucking savior. If you do exactly what I said, you have just set Destiny up for the next 10 years. And Destiny is a 10-year-old franchise with people who already love it and are happy to pass down that love to their kids, right?
Thanks.
Think about it that way. That's like people that play World of Warcraft and then they play with their kids and they do whatever. These are legacy games that people want to share with people they love because they've loved the game for 10 years. You can absolutely do this and make Destiny a game for the next 10 years. You make a show, you make a movie, you make Destiny 3. I know nobody likes to hear UE5, but you do it in UE5. It's a quick turnaround. It's a quick, easy game to make. Everybody's happy. Send the clip to Sony, I know, right? Never met a streamer that has realistic knowledge on stuff like this. I really appreciate it. No, I appreciate you, Legend. Don't worry. You're going to hear me. So here's the thing about my channel. I talk about a lot of stuff. I do a lot of gaming, but I talk about whatever comes up while I'm gaming, and it could be nothing, or it could be like really serious topics. And I will say things that you're like, hey, this really resonates. And you're going to say things where I'll say things you're going to be like, Judge, man, that was a bridge too far. Like, I kind of am offended by what you're saying. But at the end of the day, like, we'll still be cool. That was like the chatter that came over on YouTube and was like, Judge, you have a bad take. And I was like, well, tell me where I had a bad take. And they told me where I had a bad take. And I was like, hey, I disagree with you. This is why I disagree with you, right? You can have your opinion. I'll have my opinion. At the end of the day, it's my house, so my opinion's right. But I understand. But you can still hang out and chat. And then in 20 minutes, when something else comes up, we'll be cool. Like, I'm not going to be like, well, fuck this dude, ban him from the channel. They had a different opinion. Like, I don't care. You have a different opinion than me. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit.
And next up, we have ultimate modules for our descendants. Yeah, quite a lot of modules are being added, 18 of them, as you can see over there. And I don't think there's enough time to explain them all, but yeah, Director, could you give a brief overview?
Dude, I cannot believe I've turned this into a fucking, like, 3-hour stream.
Great, yeah, that's great to hear. Now, moving on to new external components. We got 2 new sets coming. The first set is the Hazmat Disposal Team. It's 4-piece effect boost toxic skill powered by a whopping 65%. There's a penalty of which normal AoE type skills reduce the power of dimension and singular skills when dealing damage to enemies, ultimately making this an optimal external component for Harris. The second set is the pulsating power set. The power of emission type skills is increased, but the skill cost increased the longer the skill is maintained. Harris also possesses emission type skills, but this set is expected to be a useful external component for Bunny and Blair as well, who utilize emission type skills. Yeah, so the November update seems to be adding an unusually large
pizza
number
boy?
of items. There are also new mutant cells being added as well. 그래서 이번 업데이트는 유난히 좀 다양한 그런 아이템들이
Yeah, this is my first time watching it.
또 신규 본인이
Drama chatting after TFD? No, dude. I'm probably still 40 minutes, 50 minutes left of this stream. Then I've got to end it. I've got to download this VOD. I have to cut it. I have to edit it. I got to get this video scheduled to go out tomorrow. I got to get things prepped. I got to pay my rent. I have a bunch of stuff I have to do. Then I got to get back on some other games, farm some mats, get some things crafting. Do some cleaning. It's a busy day for me. I've done a really good job of making like an hour and a half's worth of content extend to be like 4 hours worth of content, which is great for like the community. Really bad for me because it's going to make editing absolute hell.
So there might be significant changes to existing builds following the November 6th
It's
update.
crazy that I'm watching it
mutation
fast.
cells added this time are items that utilize skill types as triggers. Now, moving on to monthly balance, and
All right.
November's balance
Let's
is
see what the balance
focused on
patches
none
are,
other
right?
than Haley over there. So we've approached
she
Haley
is.
from a different perspective compared to previous balance adjustments. So her current skills gained enhanced utility through balance adjustments, and we added 2 new Transcendent modules to broaden Haley's build option.
They added new mods. That's interesting.
Oh, then we're building, adding more modules for Descendants that have 2 Transcendent modules. Yeah, I think it will vary depending on the Descendant, but yeah, however, we do plan to release additional modules for Descendants who possess only 2 Descendant modules. Yeah, going back to Haley, most of Haley's basic skill damage will be increased. The movement speed reduction per stack from skill 3 has been reduced from minus 2.5% per stack to minus 1% per stack. The cryogenic cluster shot.
Why don't they just get rid of the move speed debuff on her at this point, basically?
Transcendent module has also been buffed, and the maximum number of shots for skill number 1 has been increased to 18. Yeah, so I guess the mechanism change was likely intended to utilize the new Transcendent module. Let's talk more about Haley while looking at the new Transcendent modules. Camouflage sniping is a Transcendent module that further enhances Haley's mechanics. Her passive now grants additional damage when attacking enemies that are not
I feel you,
targeting her,
Memphis.
and using her 4th skill grants a stealth effect. The maximum stacks for her 3rd skill increased to 30, making this a module that enhances Haley's characteristic of having a higher peak damage output when positioned and engaged in combat.
3번 스킬이 중첩을 더 많이 쌓게 되었고 4번 스킬을 쓰면 의신을 얻어서 그러니까 적에게 타겟을 잃게 하고 데미지를 높이고 고점을 더 높이는 형태로 바뀌게 되는 거죠.
More stacks for skill 3, and then getting this stealth effect ultimately maximizes her damage, giving.
I think so. Let me talk about this really quick. I actually think this is a really cool. I think this is a really cool thing for Haley, but I think that in the current state of the game, it's completely worthless. Because for that to really work well, you need to be able to tow enemies together, right? And then like the damage explosion like procs off, right? Lepic Haley combo for sure. Most of all of the content in the game right now, you will kill everything before you ever get that to go together. The only maybe the only chance that could happen would be in like Purge. But it's a really cool change. I do like this. I just don't see it. I don't see it being useful.
Much more higher.
I just don't see it being useful right now.
Performance. Next up is the Cold Heart module, which complements Haley's lack of hunting abilities. Her passive has been improved to increase critical hit chance when in close range.
That's interesting. How much does it change it? This base 15%, it's a plus. This is going to like cut into some of the benefit of Luna, but it's still nice. Free-to-play players can earn caliber now. Maybe if you want to look at it that way, Cheating Bear, maybe it's a W. I view it as an overall L, but I think it was a really poor implementation. But I mean, it's definitely, I can see where you're coming from.
In equipping, Cold Heart aligns skill 1, 2, and 4 as singular, making reactor setup more convenient. Skill number 1 becomes same as cryogenic cluster shot, but fires up to 12 rounds. Skill 3's like buff efficiency decreases, but the movement speed reduction is removed. Skill number 4 is changed to a skill that explodes and deals AoE damage around Haley.
그래서 예를 들어 이동 속도가 유지되고요.
So keeping her movement speed up. Yeah. Wow. So
I don't play Viesta. It's a genuine question. Why is this any different than what Viesta can do? It's not. It's very similar to Viesta. For people, it's for people that just want to play her. It's for people that want to like look at Haley instead of Viesta. I mean, this was very much needed. This was very much needed to make her viable. I think these are good changes.
So this time we've updated Haley and Glade, but we plan to update Freyna, Valby, Lepic, Luna, and Jaber's unique weapons as well. Yeah, so it's really encouraging to see the game's balance steadily improving. So November's balance adjustments are focused on Haley. Since Ancestor's modules are content that impacts overall balance, the overall volume
For skill only, maybe.
of individual balance patches was reduced by a bit. We will be implementing further improvements and balance up patches in December, and preparations are underway to implement more.
Yeah, they said basically unique weapons, so we'll have to see how it works.
Balance patches in 2026. So let's hope the First Descendant can gradually develop as time passes. We will continue to have more balance patches in the future, and yeah, Haley looks like a great new balance patch Descendant. Yeah, she surely does. So now moving on.
Man,
let's
I cannot
look at
believe this
QOL
is. I've
improvements
drugged this
coming
out
with
this
the
long.
November 6th update. I heard we're improving the balance.
It's pretty
of
much
the
needed. Well, I mean, and right now her single target nuking was basically eclipsed by Serena and everybody else that can single target nuke just due to weapons, right? So,
wall crasher.
dude, I cannot help my eyes look tired. I know my eyes look tired, but like,
네,
Yes, so the goal is to reduce the gap between Serena and skill dealer Descendant. The wall crasher will get a defense function against multi-hits, which will ultimately reduce Serena's damage output. However, the wall crasher's HP has also been adjusted so that it can ensure the overall clear time remains unchanged.
네, 그리고
so basically, instead of nerfing Serena, they are going to make it to where you cannot get multi-hit against the wall crasher. Which means if you play a different character who prioritizes some sort of build that uses multi-hit, you effectively just got fucked. Because Serena does so much damage. But in order to offset that, they're going to reduce the wall crasher's HP. This is one of those where, again, you are hurting other characters and you are hurting other builds specifically because Serena's too strong. This is a big L.
Along with this, the wall crasher's critical hit resistance, it has also been lowered, so it can allow Descendants focusing on critical hits to deal damage more quickly.
And they're increasing the critical hits because critical hits don't scale Serena's damage, right? Serena's damage doesn't scale off critical hits like that. So this is another way where they're trying to like circumvent Serena without nerfing Serena.
I guess, yeah, this should allow critical skill dealers and Serena to achieve a somewhat more balanced damage output.
Instead of focusing on making new content, they have to constantly rebalance and redevelop content that's already in the game and waste resources coming up with a way to deal with Serena instead of just dealing with Serena outright. So now every time they go to make something, they go to make new content, they go to make whatever, they spend most of their time redoing and redeveloping old content just to combat something that shouldn't even be a problem.
Yeah,
maybe.
Based on our testing, Serena is still the quickest damage dealer. However, the significance lies in the fact that this balance adjustments for the wall crasher, it mitigates the gap and creates room for more various Descendants to participate. Now, I heard that Void Erosion Purge will also be improved. So in Season 3, Episode 2, in the Void Erosion Purge Challenge, the enemies will be only Legion of Darkness to reduce the burden of clearing stages. Each season, we will be rotating on which Legion will appear in the Void Erosion Purge. Additionally, we reduce the number
so done, chat.
of tasks and narrow the intervals between them to shorten the movement time. This improvement aims to allow Descendants that lack reliable mobility to reduce the overall completion time. Yeah, and finally, lighting will be added.
So basically, instead of having stage 1 be whatever, stage 2 be whatever, stage 3 be whatever, they're just all going to be the same type of enemy, just progressively harder. For challenge mode, it's just like challenge mode was designed for the top couple percent of the player base to speedrun. That is the only reason for it to exist. Is to speedrun. It's for the top 1% of the gamers. So now they just went through and made it easier for everybody else because now you only have to make one build and run it through to get all the cores, and then after that you're done. So effectively they took out any of the challenge or stuff you want to test your build against, right? Maybe you want to test an ice build and then you want to test a poison build or whatever. You no longer have challenging enemies to use it against. You just have one type of enemy 5 times. This is another one of those where they're just making the game easier for the sake of making it easier. And I don't know that anybody really asked for it. I hate this term, but they've continued to cater to casuals over and over again. And it's ruined the game. I think that there's a level, we've talked about it before. In an ecosystem, you need everything, right? From moss and plankton and algae all the way up to whales. You need all of them. And I don't think that running the game in one direction or the other direction is ever a good thing. Just making shit for casuals or just making things for hardcores. There needs to be a balance for sure. But I mean, every time it turns around, it's just making things easier. But it wasn't farmable. It's one-time reward. Doesn't make much of a difference. It's the principle behind it, gamer, and not so much. It just shows. It's the direction that it shows. That's all it is. Like, it's not farmable, absolutely, but it shows the direction and the priority, right? It's a point on the graph. It's a canary in the coal mine, right? It's just showing that they are consistently taking the game in one direction. And if you like that direction, then it's great. But if you're somebody that is not entirely happy with that direction, it is just one more point on the graph, right?
Players already know about the Bayonetta collaboration. Today we'll dive into more details.
Bro, it's taken me forever to get to this point.
But first, it was a very unexpected IP choice.
Yeah, they did. They absolutely stated that, BFX.
I'd like to ask how the collaboration with Bayonetta came about. As I talked about a lot of times, I personally pushed for the Bayonetta collaboration. It was a game I loved as a kid, and I felt it would perfectly fit the First Descendant. And I heard that there were significant challenges during the collaboration's production.
Atlas, I'm trying, man. Like, I'm trying to like make it good, interesting, fun, like content, like, and have good conversations and try to have like good debates.
I love gay porn. I'm watching gay porn right now.
Thank you, Luna.
I hate my job because I love gay porn.
Thank you, Crazy. I'm trying to like make it like be something worth watching and listening to, right? Like, it's not as like funny and laughy and jokey as like maybe some of the other stuff we cover. I know I'm like definitely more somber. I'm more somber right now because this kind of hurts. Like, this live stream definitely kind of hurts. This isn't what I wanted to see. I mean, it's what I expected, but it's just really somber for me. So I'm trying to keep my chin up and do the best I can. But man, dude, it's tough.
Yeah, we went through a very detailed review process with the copyright holder, and that took much longer than expected, and we received numerous revision requests. But on the other hand, it was also a time to learn how creators of long-loved IPs maintain their artistic integrity. Yeah, so the collaboration consists of Bayonetta skins, weapon skins, social motions, and events.
It's not even close. Today, pre-season, dude, it's nowhere near what it was. Again, more stuff to farm, a little variety to do. Same farm. Also apologizing for sins and proceeding to show skins every chance they can. Something to show, yeah. It's definitely tough, Sean.
Yeah, we've also received feedback expressing disappointment that the collaboration lacks playable content. So, producer, what are your thoughts on that? Yeah, I'm aware of that, and I agree with those opinions. There were some things that I learned while working on this collaboration. Collaborations with major IPs take a lot of time, and when we do like the proposal, follow that process of going from the proposal to contract development, QA, and until the final update. It may go over a year, or maybe sometimes even more than that. So we're currently discussing another collaboration with a major IP, and this one will include playable content, but it will take a bit more time before we can announce this collaboration. So for now, we plan to focus on cosmetic and event-based collaborations. Yeah, thanks for the explanation. Let's discuss more about Bayonetta through our game build. Yeah, since Glay fits perfectly with Bayonetta, we're showcasing Glay over there. Yeah, this is a common skin, even though we are showing it as Glay, and as a TMI,
her skin looks, her shins look normal, maybe.
Our producer.
Well, if this was one where the other team or whatever, like the Bayonetta team, was very specific on what they can and can't do with this. So if they notice shin clipping, they probably force them to fix it.
Explained about the
right
process of going through the copyright holders as they look through various things. Yeah.
It's also interesting that they put the hair on the suit. Isn't Bayonetta's hair supposed to be super long? So they got around it by just adding hair to the suit instead of like the characters. Because I don't know anything about Bayonetta, but I think part of Bayonetta was the fact she had like super long hair. So is her suit made out of her hair? She's a hair witch? That makes sense. So the fact that her actual hair is disconnected from the hair on her suit looks really interesting. If you're somebody that's really big into the lore, right?
And the last dagger skin also adds Bayonetta's weapon, Scarbo Fair.
많이 보셨죠?
It makes sense to put it on the last dagger, since it's like the gun everybody uses.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw that. You know, and also I found the social motions to be quite interesting.
So, for everybody, I want to say this right now, and hopefully I'm not going to eat my words here in a couple seconds. For everybody that told me that I was dumb, that I was fucking retarded, and that they were going to launch Bayonetta with akimbo weapons because it was her signature. And I said they absolutely were not, because they showed the Nier collab with akimbo and they didn't fucking launch it. And everybody's like, no, 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 Judge. They're going to do it. As it stands right now, 2 points for Judge, 0 points for the chatters that told me I'm fucking retarded. Just saying.
저기 이제 판권사. 네. 판권사에서 직접 추천해준 구성입니다.
Man, that snaps back really fast.
Yeah, of course, that's why it's a collaboration. And in fact, this composition was actually recommended by the copyright holder. Let's take a look.
Why are the... Oh, it's probably because I have it on 1.25.
그중 요 모션 맞죠? 요거가 있는데요.
Really? Really? This is the animation that we needed with fucking bikinis in the game.
This maid ain't gonna beat itself!
Give it to me. I want it. Like, with Bayonetta being fully suited, sure, fine, whatever. Gooner's gonna goon. This is gonna be the picture that gets taken the most in this game. It's the only emote that they let play more than one time. If you noticed. This is the only one that's played more than one time.
This maid ain't gonna beat itself!
You guys nailed it. You guys nailed it. Jesus Christ. New wallpaper for Judge's desktop. I bet the devs privately an SFW copy of the game. Absolutely. You weren't even thinking about other outfits? Think about other outfits for 0.2 of a second. And you're going to be able to zoom in your camera.
그러니까 11월 6일에 하는 베요네타 콜라보레이션.
Like this one. How well do you think this is going to go over with a bikini skin on? Dude, everyone's going to be busting. Now I'm using this on Kyle. Dude, I thought the cat was going to be bad.
Things that players can obtain through the collaboration event. So don't miss out on the Bayonetta collaboration event coming on November.
네, 먼저 벨비의 힘의 유형 탐사 장비. 네.
Yeah, so first up is Valve's Deep Sea Exploration Gear Skin.
네, 특이하게도 머리를 헬멧의 바깥으로 빼서 양갈래로 네, 묶은 디자인입니다. 상당히 쓸 때 고생스럽겠는데. 네.
Yeah, so uniquely, her hair is...
이것도
That's bunny skin. That's bunny skin with a coat. Am I dumb? Like, even the top is bunnies. They just put like a wrap under it. Like, this cuts down the same way bunnies does. And maybe like a little less crotch hugging, but it's bunny skin. Okay, so you guys all see it too. Problem's only giving us new female characters, no new male characters. Kid broken it. I hate the Korean games. I wish they would do something decent. You know what I mean, Stormy? Good male characters would help.
내 컨셉하고 꽤 잘 어울리는.
Because they're made by morons, especially male characters. It's true though. Like, if you make bad male skins, people aren't gonna buy them. Like that. What in the fuck am I looking at? Is this the skin that's already been in the game? Is this the rocker skin that was in the game? Why the fuck would I buy that skin? That is a terrible fucking skin.
남성 공용
God, that skin's so bad.
스킨이고요. 네, 나이트 라이더. 네, 네, 옛날 영화도 생각나고. 네, 헬멧도 그렇고, 그러니까 실제 같은 라이더 슈트의 컨셉의 디자인입니다. 네.
So this is Knight Rider, the common skin for male descendants. And yeah, that helmet, Rider suit, looks really quite realistic.
Power Rangers knockoff. Why does he have a fucking tail? Why does he have a tail? I mean, it'd look great if he had a motorcycle. That was definitely a Power Ranger skin.
네, 시즌3 트레일러에서 많은 분들이 좋아하셨던 네, 여성 공용 나이트.
Oh, they both have a tail for cohesiveness. Get a butt plug. It's a plug. That makes sense. Every man has a tail. Every beta has a tail. How about that?
I think many players love this when, after seeing it from the Season 3 trailer, the female Knight Rider common skin.
네, 그리고 라이더 스킨과 함께 호버바이크 스킨도 좀 새롭게 추가가 되는데요. 네, 컨셉을 좀 맞췄죠.
And that makes sense. I was like, dude, it makes sense if they have a bike. They updated the bike. That makes sense.
네, 그리고 맞습니다. 오르카 스킨도 추가가 되는데요. 페트롤 인터셉터입니다. 딱 이 컬러링이
It looks okay.
네, 느낌이죠.
It looks okay.
네, 하이퍼노바 공국 스킨과 좀 테마를 맞춘 것 같이. 얘도
I just like even that outfit, it doesn't look cool. Like, this outfit is another one where you're not making the guys look like big, beefy, like bust-ass dudes. This dude looks like he's on his way to go pick up groceries for his girlfriend on his motorcycle, right? Honey, do you need anything else? Do you need some wine? Flowers? Chocolates? Do you need anything else while I'm at the store, dear? Like, that's what that skin screams to me. That doesn't scream like I'm going out to rip Vulgus in half and bring back the severed head of the commander that I killed. 3 and the 7 wimpy men? Yeah, I mean, like they just need a cuck chair emote. Dude, that's my Uber Eats driver, basically.
Oh, and one last thing. Let us introduce the cleaning service skin that will be given as a event reward. As mentioned earlier, as an apology for the skin issue, we will not sell the skin, but instead distribute it as an event reward. In November, we plan to distribute Serena's version of the cleaning service skin as an event reward.
All right, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed my thoughts. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my thoughts on the dev live stream. It was definitely, if you've made it this far in the video, then you've done a really good job. I was definitely a lot more somber than I expected to be when it came to the dev live stream. I'm not going to do like a really long closing here. I do not think that this is like a W. I mean, I don't think it's an L. I just think it's like run of the middle. A lot of L's in the content they showed. I don't really think they showed a lot of good stuff. We obviously had some conversations on stream talking about, you know, what we thought, what we didn't think. I think most of the stuff here was an L. There were a couple rare W's. I think the Ancestor mods are good, but we don't need them. I think the changes to Haley are good. I think that's about all the good. Everything else is basically bad. But you guys are definitely gonna have to let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But yeah, I don't know, chat. We'll see how it goes. We're definitely gonna play the update. Hopefully you guys had a good time. Hopefully you guys had a good time, like watching the video and in my thoughts. I know a lot of you guys are in the same sort of agreement. We just hate to see something that we love. Kind of like being dragged through the mud. I don't think this is like really, really good, but we'll have to wait and see. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for watching the video, chat. Thank you guys for hanging out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed yourself and enjoyed the video. But having said all that, guys, thanks for watching. And as always, have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.